Thank you for having me. I love talking about my experience, and hopefully anything that I can share with you guys can be of use to you as well. While I'll be talking about my personal experience, doesn't take it for truth and how things are entirely in the industry. I'm just sharing with you what I have gone through. First, I'd love to tell about just one agency, how grateful I am. And to me, one is not this just a model agency or just a talent agency. I think they are the role model of the agencies today. If we look back into like 90s or 2000s, just the beginning, like how the idea perspective of we thought agencies should be, the strict, the cold, the rude to the models kind of idea. And I feel like I've never experienced that with one. If anything, it was the opposite. It was the most welcoming and warm invitation to kind of like celebrating your authenticity, where I felt like any other agencies that I've met, I always had to try to be like somebody else or try to fit into some standard or box. I felt like with one, they're definitely embracing the whole energy of authenticity and celebrating models of being multi-talented. And I'd love to talk about that today. Back in the days, like Kate Moss or other models like you love, Naomi, like we didn't know much about them. We knew they were models. We maybe knew who they dated and what they wore and what parties they went to, but we did not know about their talents and skills and hobbies and all that stuff. And now it is more than anything celebrated. So you guys, I heard you do, some of you are into journalism, some of you are into entrepreneurs, some of you want to be models. And this is the time where you get to shine all of your talents and be unafraid to show all of that you are. I believe that is spoken earlier that social media is such a big and important part of our jobs as models and generally in fashion. And if you choose to be also building your personal brand in journalism or entrepreneurs, you definitely do need to embrace the modern social media trends and energies. Like TikTok has entered the market just recently, even like Reels just a few months ago. Now it's taken over our eyes entirely. So it's very important to follow the trends and know what's going on. This way you can understand what's going on, also help utilize those tools to develop your personal brands. Like branding is so important no matter what you do. Is it in journalism, you have your own voice, you have your own style, aesthetic, things like that. Like I'm wearing Nike right now, you know exactly, Nike has such a strong brand, right? Like you will know this little swoosh, I don't even know what it's called, but their logo is so prominent. That's developing a brand is so important. Like one has a very specific logo that I will recognize anywhere. I'll know exactly that's branding for you. For me, like I have developed a brand which is within self-love, advocating for that diversity, body diversity in fashion. Just my aesthetic has been kind of like my personal staple, and sometimes could be recognized either within industry. Now people are not just looking for faces, they also look for faces that represent something, which is why we now see so much activists that are being photographed, featured in various campaigns. We'll see so many faces of LGBTQIA communities celebrated, shown on billboards, different sizes. Oh my gosh, there's just so much people with different abilities, sexuality. It's just great to see that, and to see agencies like one finding the voices, discovering and elevating, and seeing them blossoming. That's really, really awesome. I believe that no matter it is what you do, you have to have your own keys to success. And for me, it's triple L. I follow them religiously. The 3 principles: listening, learning, and loving. So my job, I love so much. It takes all of you to sort of, you know what love is. I mean, to you, we might define it differently, but listening and learning is part of it. For us as models, we don't just show up on set, kind of looking pretty, right? We have to, like, I think for us, we have to listen and understand what it is wanted from us. Idea is to sell a product. So it is either we're selling an iPhone or a jacket. We need to listen and understand the brand, what's the message, what is the aesthetics, how do we pose, we move, we have to adjust and learn to, according to the brand, bringing our own authenticity, which is very, very important. As models, while we're chameleons, yet we're certain kind of chameleons. We can always put a red lipstick on and suddenly transform, but still it is us shining through and kind of like having your own signatures, learning constantly beyond school. Once you graduate, you still will be learning, no matter it is what business you choose. And for me as a model, like I have to learn every day. Like I picked up a magazine today. I looked up even on Instagram. I looked up and see what's going on. What's the new trend? What are the new poses? Because poses changes. Sometimes years ago we were more expressive with like majority, right? The trend was expressiveness. Now 2 years ago was more about being cool and relaxed, and now we merge into something different. So like observing and absorbing all of that that's happening is very important. And I feel like to never you should never stop at all these three, listening, learning, loving within your career, because once one is gone, one of those is gone, things will start shifting. And ideally, like again, if you want to flow with this business, you got to keep on going. When I joined modeling at first, I thought everyone's above me, makeup artist, creative director, everyone's above me. And I would always deem myself, because I thought that was the case. And maybe how it was back then, I'm not sure. Maybe it was my personal kind of like self-reflection at the time, but you got to realize that your value that you bring, like every single person is absolutely equal. The lighting assistant is equally important as the photographer, is equally as important as the producer and the model. Everyone brings in a cake together to build something so beautiful and then let it out into the universe, like in the form of art, either it is commercial or photography, a fashion show. I mean, there's just to name a few. So it is a collaboration. You always have to think of, again, listen. So you have to, in order for everyone to be sitting at the table together, you gotta listen and learn and put your ego aside. Because modeling, again, some people think that models, like there's a kind of like the ego, the inflamed ego, which I say, the ego is very much, there's a permission to let your ego shine once you're on the runway. And once the camera is pointed at you, then I let the beast out. But other than that, it's all much more humble and much more cool and much more accessible. Not again, some people might assume that modeling is all glammed up, but no, we show up looking, no makeup, with our combat boots and big sweaters, and then you put some makeup on us and then we go. Again, it's not all glam. Models are like everyone else. We work out like everyone else. We eat, we have fun, we do all those things. We Zoom. To become an influencer, obviously it is helpful for me to have an influence. And in the industry of ours, the kind of like I'm adding something to the plate by being an influencer. Because bottom line, if I'm showing a product, if I'm modeling, again, say for Nike, just because I'm wearing it, by having my own platform and having what's over 300,000 people recognize that put two and two together, there is a chance that the sales will be higher because they recognize somebody. So there's always some recognition and support. If I support a person, I see them on a certain commercial, I get excited. And then I'll remember the name. I'll remember the name of the brand. It's all very smart, because now the brand is associated with the person I know. And that's how you get your name out there. So like, it's a very clever system, but being engaged in influence is very important. Like I engage with people, which is why I develop such good relationships online, and possibly some of you I've spoken with before, maybe not. If not, we'll probably talk. But it's very important. It's relationships. The business of fashion is about relationships. It's very small. It's not as big as could be thought of, but everyone knows each other, and having just a good personality and making good friends essentially is a good thing. Even though the bigger following obviously could affect, kind of direct the business in some ways and help you in how, like, it could help me to be hired as a model. Essentially, like I would never recommend for anyone to chase the followers. I would say chase your authenticity, because then people will relate to you and the real you. If you chase somebody else's career or ideas of how you should act to get the followers, you're not going to be happy, because it's not authentic. It's not real to you, but also people will feel that as well. Like I think the more truthful you are, the better it is for you, no matter what it is, what kind of career you choose. And social media is obviously a fantastic way it's like portfolio of your preferences, portfolio of things that you like. and how you want to be seen. I always compare social media to like having a store. It's not you. You are not your store. You own a store, which is like a digital store, and you gotta look at it that way. Posts that you post are the products. So it's up to you to update it. Some things get expired, so you have to move them along, maybe erase them. Engage with your clients. If you own a store and somebody comes in, say hi. It's very kind of like, it's very simple technique, but always helped me. This way I don't get lost in the whole idea of, oh my gosh, people hate me, or people, it's not you. You're not your social media. As long as you understand that, it could help quite a bit develop in it. Create engaging content that reflects your personality. Again, being unafraid of who you are is very important, and shining that truth will be always helpful. So activism is very important for me because there are things that I believe in. For me, I have different ways, sometimes louder, sometimes subtle ways of expressing what I believe in, because I get affected. I watch, again, I learn all the time. If I see something that I find unfair, it might inspire me, and I will write something, I will create a project. So sometimes I don't only model, sometimes I produce projects that I like, either as photo projects that focus and highlight different cultures or groups or just different people who need their voices to be heard. Obviously, I'm the founder of The Real Catwalk that highlights literally everybody and celebrates literally everybody, which is a fashion show, well, kind of a body show. We've been in London and New York, South Africa, we went to Baltimore last year, different places in Texas as well. But basically anyone is willing to show up. We have a community welcoming everybody to kind of like strut and own the runway that we built, a guerrilla style in the middle of the city. Own the runway, everyone's cheering for you, and it's the most beautiful event. We had 300 kind of like models for the day last time, maybe more than that, and about 300 before that. Basically, it's a safe space to be celebrated, to celebrate yourself and to allow yourself. Obviously, a lot of people show up in the show in bikinis and lingerie, some people in full-on dresses and outfits. Very, very beautiful. If you are willing to be an influencer, obviously, especially when you face activism, you get like a lot of people that are a lot more active as well, and they're more outspoken, and sometimes the things that you do and say maybe will hurt somebody's feelings, and you'll face bullying. I think a lot of us do, no matter on social media or not, but we make mistakes. Sometimes we say things that we regret later. I personally am not a believer in cancel culture. I believe that there's a way to learn from your mistakes. If it is a mistake, apologize and come back renewed and wiser. Use every chance to grow. Like I said below, let us focus on building bridges, focusing not on our differences, but instead on shared values and aspirations. I always say, recognize the differences, celebrate them, love them, but also understand that we share something incredible. All of us, we do. We really, really do. Always remembering that it's a great tool for success. Yep, and that's a picture from December catwalk. This is December. This is really, really cold, and this is, I think, 1/4 of the people that showed up that day. We had like different groups, just a powerful photo, and you can see information. We love the informations and photos in the end. Everyone's usually really happy to be seen for who they are and not to be told how to be. But protecting yourself, yeah, that's a good topic. How I protect myself, it depends, but meditation is really good. And living my life like meditatively. I don't always have time to meditate properly, like I sit down and in silence, but I will do things that I'll remind myself to meditate, to do things meditatively, so that when I do something, I'm not somewhere else. I will do something consciously. If I'm eating, I'm trying to, instead of watching TV, I'll try to like be eating and watching the food that I eat, smelling it, and kind of like trying to do things meditatively. So that to me has been some of the most wonderful ways of like healing and protecting myself if I feel vulnerable. Also, I write quite a bit, so for me that's putting my kind of like different emotions into creating art. That's basically what I do. Working out is a great way to protect yourself as well, which I feel like it's building chemistry within me that is really helpful. But also, if you have friends and a good person that you just trust, that's another way to protect yourself for a bit if you need to. Thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure as always.